is real, and this whole world is what you feel when I cut your head off.
It's Drewski McGillicuddy's 5 more horror movies you've probably never heard of.
Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and I'm coming at you with 5 more horror movies you've probably never heard of. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I don't know. That's the fun of these videos. If you haven't heard of them, let me know. Maybe you can check them out. If you have heard of them, let me know what you thought of them. Okay? Sounds simple enough? All right, let's go ahead and get started with number 5 from 2005, Venom. Not to be confused with the 80s Venom, or am I thinking Python? I think I'm thinking Python. Anyway, Venom. This is about, and in this movie, I saw this on a whim, and it didn't really get a wide release because it happened when Hurricane Katrina was going on. So for some reason, they didn't give it the wide release because it was made for, you know, a wide release. I happened to catch it at Danbury. It didn't even come to the high dollar cinemas in my town. But this is about a bunch of teenagers. Maybe they're college kids. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. You know, I just looked at my thing. And I found some movies that I've never heard anybody talk about. Anyway, Venom is about a group of friends, and one of them's grandmother, she does voodoo, basically, and she takes the evil out of people and puts it in a snake. And she keeps the snakes in a suitcase. Okay, and then one day there's a car accident, and there's a town tow truck driver, and he's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet, never hurt anybody. Well, he come and tried to rescue this lady when she gets in an accident on a bridge. I don't know if I can show you the video. I don't know how I'm going to do this, because I was wanting to show you the trailers, but the WB owns this, and they'll sue me, and I ain't got no money to get out of jail. But anyway, the fucking car is falling off the bridge. The guy falls off with it, gets bit by the snakes. Now he's evil. He's got 13 evil souls running through his veins, and it turns him into this badass character who could have rivaled Freddy and Jason, but for some reason, just like every other decent movie to come out in the mid-2000s, this didn't get a sequel. So, you know, the kids are, you know, trying to escape from this guy. There's a couple scenes in the house where, you know, voodoo, they put up the salt, the red salt, and he can't come in the house. Well, that's not a problem. Not a problem at all, okay? Anyway, he's basically a zombie, but, you know, a voodoo zombie. But yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, check it out. It's got some decent acting for mid-2000s nobodies that nobody's ever heard of. And Method Man, actually, is in this movie, and he plays a cop. Method Man plays a cop. So, that's pretty fun. All right, so we're going to move right along. We're going to move right along to number 4. And I just watched this with my fiance not too long ago. It's one of her favorite movies. One of the only movies to scare her as a kid. That's not true. She was scared by a bunch of stuff because she's a scared little girl. But 1981's Dead and Buried. And it has Robert Englund, a young Robert Englund before Freddy Krueger fame. And this is technically a zombie movie too. Maybe this is some zombie movies you might have never heard of. But they're not your traditional zombies. Potter's Bluff is a place where it's a nice place to live, but I wouldn't want to visit there because anyone that visits there gets brutally murdered, and then they take your picture for some reason. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I was paying attention to the movie, but it's still I don't understand the whole picture taking. I have to watch it again. But there's some weird shit going on, okay? And everybody that gets killed ends up showing up in the town like nothing happened. You know, just it's weird, you know. And the sheriff, it's kind of some holes that you could poke in this story, but, you know, it's a creepy-ass movie. And if you haven't seen it, it's got some very interesting kills. And, you know, it's just an all-around original story. I've never really seen anything else like it. And I wouldn't mind a remake of this movie. I'd watch it, especially if it was done, you know, pretty good. Like who could do? Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle would probably make a really good he hasn't really done anything lately. Anyway, fuck. I'm rambling on. All right, we're going to go to number 3. I feel like I should have talked about Dead and Buried a little bit more because, yeah, the scene with the guy on the, oh man, there's so many good scenes in this movie, but it makes you uncomfortable while you're watching it. But we're going to move along to number 3, and that is We Are Still Here. Now, I actually bought this movie from Best Buy, and the night I bought it, I had a friend that worked at one of them one-screen antique theaters, and he said, hey, come over and we'll watch a movie. So I happened to take that over there, and we watched it on the big screen. And I'm glad I did, because I don't think this movie had a very wide release. This is more of a festival-type movie. It was on Netflix for a while. It might still be. So We Are Still Here definitely has some really cool special effects for the ghosts. Like, some of the coolest ghosts ever put to screen. And the story's not completely original, but it's original enough to not be, feeling like a duplicate of every other ghost movie that's out there. Because recently ghost movies have kind of, aside from The Conjuring, they haven't been up to snuff. Like, look at Poltergeist and a lot of the stuff from the 80s. Everything in the 80s was better, Look at Dead and Buried. That was better than, I should have put that at number 1. Oh my God, I'm going to have to do this again, ain't I? I know. But anyway, We Are Still Here. It's about a family that moves into a isolated farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. And there's a, dark secret about the town and the house. Because the house needs to feed on the blood of the innocent every 30 years. Or something like that. I don't know. Once you watch it, find out, let me know. I don't know, okay? I'm trying to get better at this. I really am. Anyway, we're going to talk about number 2. Number 2, starring Daniel Stern and Ashley Johnson, who was in Lionheart. I just reviewed Lionheart. If you haven't seen that, don't bother. It's terrible. Like, the movie's good, but my review, I look at me. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. But yeah, she was also in What Women Want, because I was talking about what bad Mel Gibson movies are there. Well, that technically, you could throw that one out there. Anyway, we're not here to talk about bad Mel Gibson movies, even though What Women Want, that's not really that bad of a movie. Not really that bad of a movie. But Otis also stars Daniel Stern as Ashley's father. Now, Ashley's your typical high school girl. She wants to go to the prom. Well, so does Otis. But Otis is some almost 40-year-old fat guy that lives in his mom's basement. Glasses, little pugly sumbitch. And he kidnaps people. And then he calls their parents on the phone and asks them to the prom. He disguises himself as a pizza delivery guy, goes around kidnapping people, locks them in his basement, and then, wants to go to the prom because I guess he got stood up at the prom. Well, he done messed with the wrong girl's parents because, I don't want to get into it, but this movie's hilarious, by the way. It's also got that one lady from Stir of Echoes. And her and Daniel Stern's back and forth are priceless. Plus the kid that plays the younger brother at the end of the movie got one of the best scenes in a horror comedy ever. So if you haven't seen Otis, God. All right, whatever. Who cares? Who really gives a shit? There's a movie I really want to talk about, and I'm probably going to do a review on soon because this movie looks like it was made for like $150. Like, I could have did this. If somebody would let me borrow a camera and, halfway decent act in a movie, I could make something like this because, they did a beautiful job with what they had. Number 1, Salvage. If you haven't seen this movie, it's very original. Now, it's got the Groundhog Day thing going on, but this was before Happy Death Day. But this is probably the best I've seen because it's got an original story behind the whole Groundhog Day concept. Because, what's her name? I didn't write that down either. But the girl in this movie, she wakes up, she gets killed, and she wakes up again, and she gets killed again. And it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And she keeps trying to tell her boyfriend, which her boyfriend looks like a discount Ryan Reynolds, and he's got a really cool truck. Also, the soundtrack of this movie is just beautiful. I love every single song in this soundtrack. I also like the cinematography. For as low budget as it is, it has really good cinematography. Now, some of it, like the transition shots and when they fade in, it kind of... But hey, I should have looked up... I'm going to look up the budget, I think. I'm going to ask Google. I'm going to say, hey, Google, okay, Google, what's the budget of Salvage? And we'll see what she says. But, I mean, the other movies, I was going to try to play clips, show you little bits and scenes, like the cool stuff from the trailer, because I just figured out how to do that thanks to VHS Queen, Tiffany. Thank you. Even though I didn't really get too far into your link, but I found an app, and I sort of figured it out. But I'm going to look at your link. I'm going to get better at it. Anyway, for fuck's sakes, if you haven't seen Salvage, go watch Salvage. You can probably watch it real cheap on Amazon. Maybe go try to find it. I mean, who knows? Who knows where you can find this? I had to buy this movie twice. I bought it at Blockbuster when it came out. Somebody stole my DVD because I have people that randomly steal my shit. But then I bought it on Blu-ray. And I couldn't have been happier because it looks great on Blu-ray. Still looks low budget, but it looks great. Looks like a great low budget movie. So if you haven't seen Salvage, go check that out. If you've seen any of these other movies, let me know what you thought of them, like I said earlier. Jesus Christ, this is probably the worst video I've ever made. Like and subscribe. Do all that shit here. Look, I'm going to make a fucking card for that too. So I can just sit here and tell you, go like the video. Check me out on Facebook and all that other bullshit. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to calm down now. I should have calmed down before I started doing this.
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad you did.